The moon hung low in the ink-black sky, casting an eerie glow over Blackwater Lake. Its still waters reflected the pale light, creating a surreal tableau that seemed to dance with shadows. As I stood on the decaying dock, a shiver crawled up my spine, not from the cold, but from the oppressive weight of the curse that loomed over this forsaken place. My name is Daniel Harding, and I was drawn to Blackwater Lake by a force beyond my comprehension. The tales of a curse that clung to this desolate landscape were whispered among the locals, a cautionary whisper that warned against trespassing into the unknown. Yet, the allure of the forbidden proved too strong for my curious mind, and I found myself entangled in a nightmare that unfolded with every step I took. The journey to Blackwater Lake was not an easy one. The twisted, gnarled branches of the ancient forest that surrounded the lake seemed to claw at the sky, casting a perpetual darkness over the narrow trail that led me deeper into the heart of the cursed land. The air became thick with an unnatural stillness, and the only sound that echoed through the woods was the haunting howl of the wind. As I approached the lake, the first thing that caught my attention was the dilapidated mansion that loomed on its shores. The Blackwater Manor stood like a ghostly sentinel, its windows shattered, and its walls adorned with ivy that seemed to writhe in agony. The mansion held secrets, and I felt an irresistible pull toward its decaying grandeur. The air within the mansion was damp and carried a scent of decay that clung to the walls like a malevolent spirit. The floor creaked beneath my weight, protesting my intrusion into its forsaken halls. Dust motes danced in the moonlight that filtered through the broken windows, creating an ethereal ballet that seemed to mock the life that once thrived within these walls. I explored room after room, each one revealing a different facet of the curse that plagued Blackwater Lake. In a forgotten study, I uncovered a collection of old journals that chronicled the lives of the Blackwater family. The pages were filled with tales of tragedy and despair, of a curse that had haunted the family for generations. The curse, it seemed, was born from a dark pact made by the patriarch of the Blackwater clan with an otherworldly entity. As I delved deeper into the journals, I discovered that the curse demanded a sacrifice, a soul to appease the vengeful force that lurked in the shadows. The family had become slaves to this malevolent entity, their lives intertwined with the curse that consumed them. My exploration of the mansion led me to the cellar, a place that reeked of decay and held a darkness that seemed to defy the laws of nature. As I descended the creaking stairs, the air grew colder, and the shadows thickened around me. In the dim light of my flickering flashlight, I uncovered a hidden chamber that served as the epicenter of the curse. In the center of the chamber stood an ancient altar, its stone surface stained with the blood of countless sacrifices. The walls were adorned with symbols that seemed to writhe and pulse with an otherworldly energy. As I approached the altar, a guttural whisper echoed through the chamber, sending a chill down my spine. "You have trespassed where mortals fear to tread, Daniel Harding," the voice intoned, its source impossible to discern. "The curse of Blackwater Lake demands retribution." I felt a cold sweat bead on my forehead as the realization dawned upon me. I was not a mere observer in this cursed tale, I was now a player in the twisted game that unfolded within the walls of Blackwater Manor. The entity that bound the fate of the Blackwater family had sensed my presence, and its demands echoed in the cavernous depths of the chamber. As I stood before the accursed altar, a flicker of movement caught my eye. Shadows seemed to coalesce into a form that materialized before me, a specter, draped in tattered remnants of a bygone era. The ghostly figure bore the mark of the curse, its eyes hollow voids that seemed to pierce through the fabric of reality. "You carry the burden of curiosity, Daniel Harding," the specter whispered, its voice a mournful melody that echoed in the desolate chamber. "To break the curse, you must unravel the threads of the past and confront the darkness that festers within Blackwater Lake." With those words, the specter dissipated into the shadows, leaving me alone in the oppressive silence of the cursed chamber. Determination gripped my heart as I realized the gravity of my quest. To break the curse, I had to delve into the darkest recesses of Blackwater Lake's history, a history intertwined with pain, sacrifice, and an otherworldly malevolence. The following days blurred into a surreal nightmare as I combed through the decaying remnants of the Blackwater family's legacy. The journal spoke of a forbidden ritual, a macabre ceremony that bound the family to the curse. In exchange for untold power. The lake itself was a conduit for the entity's influence, its waters serving as a gateway between the mortal realm and the shadowy abyss that hungered for souls. As I uncovered the secrets of Blackwater Lake, the curse manifested in increasingly malevolent ways. Whispers echoed through the corridors of the mansion, carrying the tormented voices of those who had fallen victim to the curse. Shadows danced at the edge of my vision, taking on grotesque forms that seemed to mock the fragility of my sanity. One fateful night, as the moon hung low over the lake, I found myself standing at the water's edge. The air was thick with an oppressive energy, and the surface of the lake seemed to ripple with an unseen force. A mournful wail echoed across the water, sending a shiver down my spine. In the pale moonlight, a spectral figure emerged from the depths of the lake. It was a woman, her ethereal form gliding across the water's surface like a wraith. Her eyes bore the same hollow void as the specter in the cellar, and her voice carried the weight of centuries of sorrow. "Daniel Harding," she whispered, her voice a lament that echoed in the still night. "You tread upon the threshold between the living and the dead. To break the curse, you must face the entity that binds us, the one who hungers for souls." The spectral woman guided me to a hidden chamber beneath the mansion, a place where the curse's roots ran deep. The walls of the chamber were adorned with ancient symbols that pulsed with a malevolent energy. At the center stood an obsidian altar, its surface etched with runes that seemed to writhe with an unholy life. As I approached the altar, the air grew thick with an oppressive force. Shadows coalesced into a form that materialized before me, the entity that held Blackwater Lake in its grasp. It was a grotesque amalgamation of darkness and despair, a swirling mass of malevolence that hungered for the souls of the living. "Daniel Harding," the entity intoned, its voice a cacophony of tortured whispers. "You have trespassed into the realm of the cursed. To break the shackles that bind us, you must offer a sacrifice, a soul to replace the one taken by the curse." I recoiled at the demand, realizing the gravity of the choice before me. To break the curse, I had to willingly sacrifice a soul, a choice that would forever stain my hands with the blood of another. The entity sensed my hesitation, and the shadows tightened their grip around me. "The curse is a hunger that cannot be sated," the entity hissed. "Choose, Daniel Harding, for the fate of Blackwater Lake rests in your hands." As I grappled with the impossible choice, the specter of the woman who had guided me whispered in my ear. "Break the cycle, Daniel. The curse thrives on the choices of the living. Choose a path that defies the darkness, and you may yet free Blackwater Lake from its malevolent grip." Determined to break the curse without succumbing to the entity's demands, I delved deeper into the mysteries of the ancient ritual that bound the Blackwater family to their torment. The journal spoke of a forgotten incantation, a chant that could sever the connection between the curse and the mortal realm. Armed with this newfound knowledge, I returned to the chamber beneath the mansion. The entity, sensing my defiance, manifested in a swirling maelstrom of shadows that seemed to reach out for me. The air crackled with an otherworldly energy as I began to recite the forgotten incantation, each word a battle cry against the malevolence that clung to Blackwater Lake. As the incantation echoed through the chamber, the symbols on the walls began to pulse with a frantic energy. The entity writhed in agony, its form contorting and convulsing as the ancient words unraveled the curse's hold. The air became charged with a blinding light, and I felt a surge of power coursing through me. In the final moments of the ritual, the entity let out a soul-rending scream that echoed across Blackwater Lake. The shadows that bound the curse recoiled, dissipating into the ether. As the last word of the incantation left my lips, the oppressive force that had gripped the cursed land lifted, leaving behind a newfound stillness. I stood in the chamber, breathless and drained, as the realization of my triumph sank in. The curse of Blackwater Lake had been broken, its malevolent grip severed by the ancient incantation. The entity that hungered for souls had been banished, and the shadows that had danced in the corners of reality were no more. As the first light of dawn broke over the lake, I emerged from the decaying mansion, the weight of the curse lifted from my shoulders. The air felt different, lighter, and the once twisted forest seemed to sigh in relief. Blackwater Lake, once a realm of despair and darkness, now sparkled in the morning light, its waters reflecting the rebirth of a land freed from the shackles of an ancient curse. I left Blackwater Lake behind, the memory of its haunted halls and cursed secrets etched into my very soul. The journey had been harrowing, a descent into the heart of darkness that tested the limits of my courage and resolve. As I walked away from the forsaken land, I couldn't help but wonder if the curse had truly been vanquished or if its malevolence still lingered, waiting for the next unwitting soul to stumble upon the secrets that lay hidden beneath the surface of Blackwater Lake.